Hi, this is Megan, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how I go about teaching my students to analyze different media sources. And all of the resources that I'm going to talk about today are linked in this week's material, but you can also find them in the additional resources document as well. So I teach fifth grade, and I've also taught third and kindergarten. And certainly everything that I'm going to show you today can be done and adapted to work with younger students. I absolutely would have done this with my younger students as well. And then obviously you can adapt it, make it a little bit higher level for the secondary students too. So, the first thing that I do with my students is I just ask them, where do you get news? Where does it come from? And so a lot of them say that they watch with their parents and they get it from, the nightly news, and we watch CNN 10 in our class. And so there's a lot of different ways that they can get it, but eventually someone says that they get it from the internet. So that's where I start, and we talk about some websites. So first thing is I take them to this, this is a blog kind of more for you. The infographic is what I use. So let me click this and make it a little bit bigger here, I think. And again, this is in the this week's course materials for you to check out on your own if you'd like. So we just go through and talk about this. And I show them, we look at the different boxes on here. They take turns reading. We really talk a lot about the red flags that you might see if you're at a website that's not necessarily reputable. So like, are there spelling and grammatical errors? Does that headline actually match the content? Are there any citations included? And then we also talk about how you can verify, how it's important to verify the information as well. So we find the author. If we Google search them, will we find out who they're connected to, or will we find that they've written other things? Can we take some of those facts and citations, if there are any, and then use them or find them out somewhere else as well? So we just really go through step by step and talk about it first. So the next thing that we do, and so far everything is, this usually takes about 1 day for a lesson. So the next thing that we do is I take them to a website that I know to be a hoax. I know that it's not a real website. And I got that from this list right here that was put together by the Iowa State University. There's a whole bunch of different ones on here. So there's several that I use that I'll show you today. But the one that I love to start with, and sorry, my video cuts out there a little bit when I go tab to tab. The one that I like to start out with here is called Help Save the Endangered Pacific Northwest Tree Octopus from Extinction. And so it seems a little iffy, like, can an octopus live in a tree? But we really just go through together and look at everything. And so we click on links, we look at pictures, we see if people's names can be found somewhere else. A lot of these photos are pretty clearly photoshopped. So we try to verify their content in other places. And so it's really, this part's probably the most fun because their conversations are great and they get in these big debates, and it's really interesting. So we go through and just really talk about it and click on everything. You can either project it and you do all the clicking, have the kids kind of tell you where to go, or you can have them pull it up on their own devices and navigate themselves. So that's where we start. We go back and forth between the infographic and kind of say, oh, have we checked for this? Have we checked for that? And kind of help cement it in their memories. Then we introduce the media analyzer. And this is also in this week's content. This is one I created, and I just actually made it from a bunch of different other analyzers and things that I'd seen. This one just worked best for me. Please feel free to use as is, or if you need to edit it to make it work for you, that's great. So I just have them kind of write out some different pieces of information about that source. And I left this directions here a little bit more vague so that they could use this for an article, for a website, for something that they saw on the nightly news or whatever, news media. And so anyway, they go through and we really like check the kind of content be verified. Down here, we're looking through a lot of those red flags, and then put that all together and decide yes or no, this is or is not a trustworthy source of media, of information. So I'll show you here. Well, actually, I'll show you a couple other things first. In a minute, I'll show you some examples of some student filled out ones. But that all kind of takes about one day, one lesson. And then over the next few days, I work with my small groups. I do small groups teaching in my ELA class, English Language Arts. And so each group looks at a different website, and two of them I usually give fake ones, and then one of the last ones, then I'll do a real one and see if they can figure that out. So this is a website that I like to use from that list I showed you earlier. And it actually works really great for fifth grade because we teach about early explorers. And so this one seems pretty legitimate. And the list of explorers are ones that are actual explorers, and we've read about them, in our textbooks and through other ways. But when you click on them, you'll find out that there's some incorrect facts on there. And so that one really trains them to have to really look at that information. So that's a fun one. This one I love to use. So this one is all about dihydrogen monoxide, which sounds very impressive and crazy, but it's actually just H2O or water. And the moment that the kids realize that, it's like their faces are awesome. Anyways, so we just click on the links. I think this one looks a little bit more suspect just immediately by looking at it. But we check links and we do some cross-checking and kind of go through this one. And then the final one that I usually use is something off of the Smithsonian has a website called Tween Tribune, which is really great if you haven't checked it out. They have different articles in a variety of grade bands. But I try to find one that the heading or the title looks fishy. And so this one was perfect about Australian city giving trees email addresses. Like when we logged onto this one, they were like, no way, totally fake. I said, hey, we got to go through the steps. So we went through all the steps and filled out the graphic organizers and found out that indeed it actually was legitimate. So that's kind of fun too to, once they get used to you giving them some fake websites, and when you hit them with a real one, then they love it. So I'm going to show you a couple kid examples here. Pull these up. Okay, let's see here. So I love them because it's just yet another way for fifth graders to show their personalities. For example, this one. This is not an accurate description, sad face, and so they just kind of go through and it really helps them think. Eventually they get to the point that they don't necessarily need the media analyzer. They ask those questions in their head anyway. No, not professional, but it's a great way to just start them out and get them ready to begin. So that is, let me just move myself to the middle here. That is how I go about teaching this to my kids and get them started. And then I'll tell you that they will definitely remember it and it'll pop up. We do a lot of research in my class, and I overhear their conversations, and they are like, oh, we better check to see if this is a legitimate website. So it's really great to hear them having those conversations on their own. I also wanted to tell you that I heard a little conversation the other day just during some free time. And one of the kids goes, did you know that you can turn peanut butter into a diamond if you put it in the microwave? And another kid was like, no, you can't. And he said, yes, you can. I read it on a website. And so then one of the other kids was like, okay, show me the website. Then they're like, that's a .com. You can't always trust those. And then another kid pipes in, I found a spelling error. So it was just so perfect because they were just applying that to their real life. That didn't have anything to do with class. And I don't know why it came up. But that's them applying these skills to their real life. And so that just know that every little bit you can do helps. So Hopefully, this helps give you some great information to try. All of these resources are linked, like I said. And if you ever have any questions or want to share ways that you're teaching your students how to analyze information and media, please share it. And I'd love to hear it.